been an interesting week.
Yeah, and here we are here now again. And you know, every day is like so new. Something that's never happened before is happening every single day.
I
Okay.
found these I found this very strange occupation of a part of Morocco of Algeria or of Spain by Moroccans. It seemed to be confusing many people. I
Oh,
don't know if
well,
you've
I've
seen, I
heard
don't know if
about
you've
that.
seen,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I don't think even I've seen the videos. There is a part of Morocco that, a part of Spain that is on the land next to Morocco. There's two isolated areas, and about a large number of Moroccan young men uh just went over the gates and around the board, around the wall, and swimming, and they occupied this space, and then they went back, and some stayed. It was very strange in the sense of what was the purpose of this action? I There's a history legends guy. I don't know if you know him. He's on the internet. He gave a little his view of the situation, but it was very strange, and it was like tens of thousands of people just overran the border and took up residence briefly in this Spanish inlet on in northern Morocco. It was very unusual.
I can explain
Um,
it. I got some background on that.
oh, please do.
Okay, so this little island, which is considered to be, sovereign Spanish territory, is just
Right.
off the coast of Morocco on the other side of the Strait of Gibraltar, however you pronounce it.
Hmm.
I've never
Exactly.
pronounced it, but because Spain retains like sovereign control over that island, that means its territorial waters encompass the entirety of the Gibraltar Strait. So the
Right.
Strait of Gibraltar belongs to Spain as a result of their sovereign authority over this island, which is just off the coast of Morocco. Okay. So, that gives Spain, the advantage of controlling the Strait of Gibraltar, but it is also close enough, to Morocco that the Moroccans can get into it and claim, Spanish, residency. And because, the Spanish Supreme Court just ruled that 500 Moroccans living in Spain, are going to be granted permanent resident status so they can join the workforce because they're short of workers, probably. So, and the government's supposed to be socialist in any case. Okay, so now, why this would happen now and with such large numbers is part of a
Right.
manipulation. Okay, Morocco is an ally of the Zionist state of Israel. Now, in order to embarrass Spain, which is, you know, in solidarity with the Palestinian struggle against the occupation in both Gaza and the West Bank, at least. Uh, well, so Morocco did a favor to Israel, perhaps requested to do so by Israel even, to
Hear from me.
facilitate the mass migration of all of these unemployed Moroccans which the king, doesn't know what to do with. So he just, buses them in, next to the border there and tells them, go for it. So they go
Yeah,
for it,
exactly what happened.
16,000. Okay. Now, most of them have returned now, because there was no food left on the island. One, two, there's no work there. Three, they expected to be welcomed by Spain and they weren't. Four. And also, this gives Israel a certain in with the right-wing populist movements in Europe, because now those movements can claim, look what will happen if we don't close our borders. Okay, so, then they'll be, grateful to Israel and support Israel as a result, and the pressure that they can bring to bear on the governments there, especially in Germany, where the All Germany party seems to be ready to win a majority in the parliament there, unfortunately. So
You want
that's,
to
the story there, and 85 people drowned, trying to get around that fence. Ridiculous.
you want to see some of the video? I have
Yeah,
it. I actually have some video. Let me if I can get it for you. It's kind of interesting. Let me see here. Let's see.
I'm feeling
There,
better now. I'm
good.
emerging out of my side effects, from being drugged legally, which I didn't need.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, wow. Wow, they're really going for it. Enthusiastic swimmers there. But they don't know how to swim.
Yeah, well, that's
Anyway,
I know what this I don't know what to say about that one.
yeah,
Uh,
there's no swimming pools for people to go and practice, swimming or anything like that. That's a Moroccan woman? Wow.
a Spanish woman. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's from a movie. This is all
Oh, that's where they're coming in. Oh, there's a policeman standing there,
what can he
all
do?
docile.
No, this is not there. Supposedly in France. This is supposedly in France. But anyway. So yeah, this is a guy I watched sometime. But it was an interesting footage. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
Uh, and you're the only
incredible.
person I was seem to understand it. Somebody was saying, "Oh, we're all for open borders." I said, "This isn't a border issue. This is a political move by Barack to get something. You can't just jump on things and start mouthing rhetoric. You know what you're talking about. You need to
Yeah,
read a little history before you start making slogans, right? Right."
yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
Anyway, I
They
was
were
like,
more expelled than escaping, like, yeah. So
yeah,
they've mostly gone back.
and they were saying that Morocco pulled this 30, 40 years ago. They pulled another stunt like this in in the area in the Sahara, Eastern Sahara, not Western Sahara, but another part of Sahara. They pulled something very similar, and the next day Spain gave in or gave them the land or something. So
Uh,
they're trying to get the same thing now. Anyway,
yeah,
it
they've been
just
agitating for the recognition of the annexation of Polisario,
right,
uh,
right,
which
right,
is the southern part there in the desert that is actually of another nation. And so, replacing one empire with another, Spain wants
that's
its own
all
empire,
it is.
it would
Right,
seem, and he got the
right,
support of Trump to recognize that Morocco could annex that territory by, in effect, supporting the Abraham Accord, what they call the Abraham Accord,
right, right.
recognition of
Exactly.
Israel, without conditions, like just recognize Israel, to please Trump. And so Trump, gives them recognition as well.
And
Mutual
and
robbers recognition. Yeah.
and then I heard that I want to say it's Morocco named a highway after Trump.
Oh, he's pleased.
I mean,
Yeah.
just, I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine a Donald Trump highway? Oh man, it makes my head hurt just saying it. You know,
Well, soon enough they'll be embarrassed. Things are changing here, like this, and Iran is not giving up on the world revolution. They're calling for a regime change in the United States of America and in the state of Israel, both.
fine with me. Let's get to work.
Yeah, here we are.
Here
Yeah.
we are. Yeah, here we are. It's really been amazing to hear people talk about this war. And so many people, unfortunately, have nothing really to say. They can't figure out what's going on. They want to see some additional back and forth. It's not happening. And they're crying over the soldiers that have died. It's really confusing a lot of people what the editorializing that is not occurring.
Yeah.
They're just scared to say. It seems like they're scared to say victory to Iran. and defeat to Israel and the United States. Something's going on here.
Hmm.
If you
Well, at least they can say, stop attacking Iran, period.
right,
Can't they say that? What's wrong? What's
yes,
wrong with
they
saying
can
that?
do.
They don't have
That's
to become Muslims to say that. It's what other excuse can they think of? But the anti-war movement is bankrupt. Yeah.
well, there was one move forward this week. Have you heard about the prairie land defendants?
No, I've heard about the Prairie Fire movement.
Okay, there were last year around 4th of July, there was a rally against ICE at an ICE facility.
Yeah.
The people who showed up were all arrested eventually, and they've been known as a prairie land defendants.
Oh.
I'll get, yeah, I get, I'm gonna get a video for you. I'm gonna talk while I'm getting the video ready.
Yeah.
And they've had a kangaroo court trial.
Hmm.
Um, they got a lot of years. Some of them, for their own reasons, pled guilty to whatever charge it was, which they must have had no lawyer or no defense because to plead guilty means you're throwing yourself at the courts. You got to be careful with that one.
Yeah.
Um,
They were offered a plea
but
bargain.
yeah, something happened, but most of them were not that. Most of them went to trial, and they got a lot of time. They got a lot of prison time. I mean,
They got set up.
years,
Mhm.
years and years of prison time. It wasn't no joke. Like 20 years, 40 years, 50 years. And
Whoa.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of prison time. And they really didn't do anything. So there's a movement that's developing to build some solidarity with
Mhm.
them. I'm going to show you the screen right now of the statement from this group called Workers' World. But it's one of the few statements I've seen, and I want it to be seen because this is simply it was simply a movement against uh, the ICE and the war on immigrants. That's all it was a rally against
Mhm.
ICE, war on immigrants. That's all it was. They
Mhm.
showed up, they had a rally, and they got big time. So
Mhm.
here's the article from a group called Workers' World,
Mhm.
and it basically says the prairie land defendants need our support now more than ever. Originally arrested in connection with a noise demonstration, just a noise demonstration. That's it. Held on
Mhm.
July 4th last year. The prairie land defendants have dealt with nothing short of fascistic oppression and humiliating conditions since then. What started with inhumane jail conditions and accusations of terrorist activity has culminated in the sentencing of some defendants in early July 2026 who pled guilty for no less than 22 months in prison. Here's pictures of some of the demonstrations right here.
I saw a banner
Uh,
up at the top right corner saying no war on Iran. That's excellent.
yeah. This is one of the better papers
Yeah.
that is part of the United Anti-War Coalition, and they had a demonstration on the 28th. I didn't know about it until the 29th, so the word that wasn't getting out. But yes, they are opposed to the war. This this
Good.
this organization is strictly anti-imperialist. They
Mhm.
are. So this
Mhm.
Workers' World is, as far as that goes, is one of the better groups. But they don't just talk it. So some people talk about the war, but don't say anything about it in on their paper, which is nonsense. This
Mhm.
group will call for demonstrations and support from the anti-war movement, which is good.
Yeah.
So here's some banners of the people who've been jailed. One person got 50 years, 50 years for this talking, 50 years.
Wow.
50 years in prison. Sounds like Turkey to me. Um, eight of them were given up to 100 years, up to 100 years in prison. They said they were trying to start a riot and they were terrorists. Yeah, right. What one
And
person got a
Benjamin
100 years.
Daniel
Hmm?
Champagne who
I'm
received a
sorry.
100-year sentence.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're nuts. They're freaking out. They've gone over the edge.
Yeah, they have gone over the edge. Okay.
They're
So
overextended.
what this article is saying is that the people on the left have to support this movement. Now, I wrote them a letter and said, I went to a rally for Cuba. I told you about 3 weeks ago. And I raised this at the rally that we need to support the Prairie Land defendants because they are the premier political prisoners of the Donald Trump regime.
Yeah.
They want to make sure they send a message. If you demonstrate, we're going to put you in jail. And that's all this was a demonstration.
Right.
Now, what people at the demonstration I went to were saying, well, people are scared because of what happened to Prairie Land. I said, that that's well, I understand what they're saying. We have to exercise our right to demonstrate and come
Yeah.
out and get in the streets. You can't be scared. You can't let this is meant to intimidate you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
I
let's
just want
ship some
I
lawyers out there.
well, I'm just showing y'all this statement. It's the only statement I've seen about this struggle.
Mhm.
And, it's Prayer Land Defendants. If you just look up Workers' World and Prayer Land Defendants, you can get this, find the article.
It's
Because
excellent being bilingual as well. Mundo Obero
yeah,
is
Muno Brito. Yeah, oh,
workers'
yes, yes,
world.
yes, yes,
Like
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I just want to show everybody. Okay.
good.
All right. Thank you.
I have a video to show you as well.
Right here.
Talking about regime change, in the Zionist state of Israel. Let me show you the vanguard. Has nothing to do with, the conception of the left populists. They have no idea, no idea. And and they would resist the reality of this as well, if I can find it here. I think this is it. Should be. Yeah. Okay, this is Jerusalem. Like Hebrew lettering up at the top there. Okay.
See what you got.
Those guys, those are soldiers,
Right.
and they've just been kicked out of the neighborhood.
That's
I
good.
think it's, like, and, look at the number of the Orthodox who are doing so. And then,
The
and
Anadolu
then,
told Reuters.
oh,
Yeah.
I've got this. Okay. This is Iran. It's
Nice.
getting through. It still hasn't been suppressed, and it can't be suppressed, it would seem. So, if you want, let's listen to see what they have to say.
Yeah. Let's listen. Let's listen. Definitely.
Sometimes they interview, right-wing populists, but otherwise, they're very consciously anti-imperialist. They know what they're working for. Yeah, interesting. Their leadership, comes from the lower class, not the upper class.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of the people I found who are Orthodox I've met in general, at least in the United States, they're usually not bad people. You just have to tell hello to them and develop just let them know you're friendly and you want to deal with them as a human being and get to know them. Usually they'll smile, shake your hand, and talk to you.
Of course, yeah.
I haven't found to be. I mean, whatever stereotypes they have, I haven't found it to be true at all. Actually,
Yeah.
you know, I haven't. No,
Actually,
I'm gonna say I haven't. It's
yeah.
I haven't. I
The
mean,
Orthodox, like one, they're poor. Two, they love to study And the only thing they have to study, is the Jewish texts, the Torah, the real Torah, and the commentaries in the Talmud. Okay. Now, if they were given, a mathematics course to study, they would study mathematics as well, but they don't
Right.
have the opportunity. Okay. So it's not that they're, retrograde, and want to be retrograde. No, it's just that they have a lack of opportunity, Now, but they keep to their principles. They don't, they refuse to become Zionists. Even Chabad, is divided, on whether or not there's pro-Zionist or not. And Schneerson, the previous, head of the movement, the Pope of the Chabad movement, never went to Israel. He did, like meet up, with Netanyahu in New York City, but chose to never go to Israel because he doesn't recognize the regime there. But
Oh,
that never became sort of embedded in the discourse now. And so then they wanted to, get more followers and more money and more donations, to do propagating. And so they turned into a pro-Israel sort of movement as a result of that.
right.
But otherwise, the Orthodox, are not Zionists. Even though there's a stereotype of a Zionist in the West Bank, having
Where'd
pious,
that
the
come from?
hair and the gun, and
Yeah.
something else, and tzitzis, coming out from under their shirt. This is supposed to be what a Zionist is, but it's not. The ones that they show, who are the Orthodox, in the West Bank, carrying guns, that's like 200, 300. That's nothing. You know, when we're talking about, the Orthodox in Jerusalem, okay, I'll give you the numbers. 74,000 have been given their draft notices, have been conscripted into the army. 74,000. Of those 74,000, the number who have actually gone into the army is 2,300. Huh? You know, if this happened in any other community, they would be extolled as, oh, these are revolutionaries. These are the vanguard, like the avant-garde, like revolutionaries who are going to change the Zionist regime and all this. Nobody says that, even though it's true. Like there they are, kicking the military out of their neighborhood, probably
Oh,
because it's Shabbos. And then, like in any store that tries to open up on Shabbos in their neighborhood, gets shut down pretty quickly as well. And then and also, Christian missionaries who come in there to try to convert people to be Christians, they are not tolerated either. These are very militant people, very conscious, very, strong identity and a Jewish identity, not a Zionist identity. There's another Jewish community on the summit of Mount Gerizim next to Nablus, who are the Samaritans. They're not from Judea and Jewish, they are from Sumeria as Samaritans. There was two regions of the ancient Israelites, but the Zionists never talk about that. Why? Because the southern region, Judea, adopted the formation of a king. And the northern region of Samaria, the Israelites refused to join in with Judea because, one, they didn't want to pay taxes, they didn't want to go to war, and they didn't want to have a king, because it wasn't necessary. So there's a split in Judaism at that time. And that split has followed through all to this day. And people don't even know about it, not even the Zionists, And this is codified in a statement put out by the prophet Samuel at the time, in which he denounced the formation of a king. It was against the formation of a kingdom because he said it would just lead, to the taxes which would be used to buy more chariots, read tanks, and to wage war to aggrandize the power of the king. That's all that,
oh,
a king is good
oh.
for.
Hmm.
So, it's all there,
Well, there are
but it's not paid attention to, like people are so sort of out of it, they just follow, a certain stereotype, they copy the cliche, and they think that that's all they have to do. Really? Well, listen up. This is here now. And we're
there was
talking to
some
you.
there was some very interesting fighting in Nablus this week.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, it was very tit for tat actually. I
Yeah.
have some videos
Uh,
from electronic intifada,
yeah, good.
some
Good.
real videos, not some joke. Here was
Yeah.
let's take a look.
She's Jewish, but she never says so.
Turning to the occupied West Bank, 4 Palestinians were killed on Friday, July 24th, in a rampage by Jewish Israeli settlers and soldiers in the village of Tel, near Nablus in the north. Dozens of Israeli settlers from the nearby colony of Havat Gilad carried out a pogrom in the village, trying to break into homes and opening live fire on Palestinians who amassed to defend themselves and their properties from the invading lynch mob. A joint statement by Palestinian human rights groups says that as villagers rushed to assist in the defense of their community, quote, an armed settler wearing military apparel opened live fire on civilians, injuring several. Incensed by the attack, a villager confronted the armed settler and disarmed him. A subsequent exchange of gunfire resulted in the deaths of a soldier and an officer from the occupation forces, both residents of nearby settlement outposts. The exact source of the gunfire remains unverified, and no presence of Palestinian firearms was reported or proven in the area. The resident of the village who disarmed the settler and was shot dead was later identified as Farouk Ramadan. Uniformed Israeli soldiers then arrived at the scene, the joint statement adds, and immediately opened live fire directly at Palestinians. As a result, 4 Palestinian residents of the village of Tel were killed, and 4 others sustained live ammunition injuries. The injured were subsequently evacuated to local hospitals for medical treatment. Israeli forces later that afternoon infiltrated the city of Nablus, raiding the hospital where Palestinians injured in the settler attack were receiving treatment, and arrested them in the emergency department. The Palestinian rights groups add that later that night, Israeli forces again raided the village, arrested approximately 30 residents, and raided the home of Farouk Ramadan, who had been killed earlier that day, in preparation for its punitive demolition. Dropsite News reports that, quote, armed settlers accompanied by the Israeli military established a new illegal outpost on the site of the attack, installing caravans after uprooting hundreds of Palestinian-owned olive trees in the area. It is one of at least 6 new colonial outposts reported on occupied Palestinian land as Israeli settlers take advantage of the mass crackdown they incited, in addition to the expansion of existing outposts over the past few days alone, with the support of the Israeli army, Dropsite added. Other outposts established by Israeli settlers over the weekend in Palestinian villages include those in Safa and Sinjil in the Ramallah Governorate, in Deir Istia and Deir Balut in the Salfit Governorate, and Asira al-Shamaliya in the Nablus Governorate. Multiple other outposts are being expanded, Dropsite reports. Following the pogrom in Tel, Israeli settlers engaged in other attacks in nearby Palestinian villages and set fire to homes and cars. The Palestinian rights groups said in their joint statement that on Friday evening, heavily armed settler militias under the direct protection of the occupation army launched coordinated attacks against the villages of Sara, Urif, Jit, and Fara'ata. Settlers set fire to homes, vehicles, and agricultural fields and severely assaulted local residents, inflicting serious injuries. Simultaneously, they continued an unprecedented campaign of violence and intimidation against the town of Beit Furik. Settlers also set fire to a mosque in the village of Kur on Sunday, spray painting its walls with racist graffiti and damaging the interior of the building before local residents managed to extinguish the fire. Another mosque, which was under construction in the village of Kusra, was attacked by settlers also on Sunday. The Israeli mob burned wooden materials and construction equipment at the site, local reports say. My colleague Tamara Nassar will be publishing a detailed report on the accelerating rate of Israeli settler violence and pogroms across the West Bank, so do look for that on electronicintifada.net. Following the settler pogrom in Tel, Israeli soldiers attacked journalists with tear gas while they were working in the village and covering the developing story. Israeli forces also imposed collective punishment measures on Palestinians across the West Bank, including closing major checkpoints and the entrances of towns and villages. The Israeli army closed a checkpoint south of Nablus, preventing an ambulance from passing through, which was carrying a pregnant woman in emergency condition. The Anadolu news agency says that the ambulance crew was held for more than 30 minutes while the woman, who was 6 months pregnant and suffering from severe bleeding, was forced to undergo a search despite her critical condition. The ambulance officer said that Israeli soldiers ordered the crew to switch off the ambulance's engine, causing its onboard medical support equipment to stop operating. The ambulance was eventually allowed to continue to the hospital, where doctors managed to save the woman's life but were unable to save her fetus. In the Jordan Valley village of Ain al-Helwe on Tuesday, July 28th, the Israeli civil administration procurement managers range.
So there's a lot going on.
Yes, the previous village that was mentioned, Kusra, where there was an attack. I was there, I think in 2011. I did a video there.
That's actually why I wanted to play this. That's why I wanted to play this, because this is your like neck of the woods. This is the area that like you were very familiar with this area. That's why I wanted to play it, to get your feedback on it.
Yeah, this is what's going on that the news never covers,
Right.
And in that village at that time, the military was coming into the village, and so the villagers, went out to confront the soldiers and chase them away, And there was this one guy with a big black beard, tall guy, impressive, man, father of 7 children. He was leading a charge, chasing the soldiers away. So what did the soldiers do? Turned around and they shot him dead. That man died that day. And I have it on video, but from afar, because he was on top of the hill. A hill there, is actually is a mountain, previously a mountain, that eroded away, over the millennium. And they got to the top of the hill, and the soldiers were running away down the other side, and then they turned around and shot, And that's just one example of what happens there in the demonstrations and in self-defense.
Right, exactly. And that's why I wanted to show this altercation. Because a lot of times we hear about the settlers, but we never see them in action. Here we see a man with a weapon, with a military gun, shooting people, and somebody had the courage to disarm this person. That took a lot of courage.
The guy with the skull cap on, and the long man's coat, man's shirt. Yeah. Boy, I saw him being, intimidated there in the video.
No.
He was backing down, he was leaving, and the settlers, like approached him, even though he was already, like on the way, away from them. And so, and then I think they started shooting, and they killed 4 Palestinians. And so he turned around quickly and got the gun off of the settler and turned it on the soldiers.
Yes.
Not on settlers even, and took down 2 soldiers. Incredible.
That is an incredible video. That's an incredible story. The courage and then the brutality of the settlers and the Israeli soldiers afterwards. I just want people to see it's not a quote nice video, but this show people should watch as often as they can. The stuff from Electronic Intifada is never going to be shown on the main on CBC, BBC, NPR. No.
Electronic Intifada. Ali Abunimah, he's never interviewed on news channels. Yeah, I know.
Never. I mean, never. This is the real like our program here. This is real resistance media. Yeah,
he's been doing it for a long time. Since like the beginning of the internet services. Yeah. No, he's been there all the time. Yeah. Well, I wish I was there already,
Yeah. But I kind of want to let you know, this is what's going on. Just so you can see it right there. That's you right there. Yeah.
Well, I'll get back there. I'll get back into it. But now we have news that the United States is going to force Israel to back off of Gaza. and force them to retreat, even though
Yeah,
Netanyahu says that
yeah.
he's advanced to 70% and he's going to advance to the entire Gaza. That's what he promised his supporters, right? Okay. But
Um,
it's Turkey and Egypt that are supposed to step in there in between the Israel's military and the Palestinian resistance. They're supposed to make sure that, Israel withdraws, to the previous boundaries of Gaza. And then Hamas is going to give up its arms. And there will be a police force, Palestinian police force that's formed. And the entire Gaza is supposed to be protected by a peacekeeping force, a military peacekeeping force from both Turkey and Egypt. Okay, let's see it happen. But, you know, Israel is not part of that deal. That's the United States of America trying to save its reputation there. That's all. And Israel will have to comply, otherwise they don't get the bombs to do what they do. So, that's all that, that's lined up now. Israel's going to have to withdraw from Gaza eventually, but they're going to do it under protest. Okay, fine. Let them protest, but get them out. Okay, so
what
it's
what concerns me though is southern Lebanon. I'm a little concerned about southern Lebanon. The Lebanese government, I like to know where they're getting a little too close to Israel and the United States, even though
mm,
they're being dominated by both countries. They're being dominated by both countries. Yet they
mm,
want to they want to present themselves as we're a sovereign country. Well,
mm,
you're a sovereign country. Why is Israel bombing everything in its eyesight in southern Lebanon?
yeah,
Supposedly tunnels, and maybe they are tunnels. They're doing serious demolition and shaking mountains, serious demolition in South Lebanon. It's disturbing me,
yeah,
and I don't see. This is just me. I don't know the world. I don't know everybody's doing everything, but I don't see no support for Hezbollah and South Lebanon right now. I don't see the
right,
support needs because Israel is on a rampage. They're
yeah,
doing anything they want,
yeah,
and nobody's stopping them.
no. But
That's
uh,
just yeah.
but
So right now,
Lebanon expects Israel to withdraw from the southern territories.
not going to
They're
happen.
not. They don't have. They're not using any persuasion to do so. They're relying upon the United States, to back them up and to ask Israel to leave. And Israel seems to be ready to leave because before they leave, they're going to destroy as much as possible of all the villages in the south there, so that the, Lebanese have nothing to return to.
It's really it's a great tragedy in the making. The way they're just running rampage and destroying anything they want.
Yeah,
There's nothing stopping them. And when
yeah.
you let a bully or when you let a bully run rampage on the schoolyard or a neighborhood criminal organization run rampage on a street or a corner or a community, the outcome is never good.
There's one thing that can stop the Israel military, and it's actually happening. I heard a report. There's a Zionist military base in the north, that had just finished its service in southern Lebanon, called the Golani Brigade, one of these elite things.
Yes, yeah, okay, I've heard of them.
Yeah, and they were supposed to be redeployed to go to Gaza. So what did they do? They walked out. They dropped all their, automatic weapons into a pile. Beautiful picture. And a couple of hundred of them are walking out, chanting like a demonstration. And the pretext that they used in order to do so was that some sort of insignia that they had, installed on the
Oh,
grounds
I heard
there.
about this. I heard about this. Yeah, I heard about that. I
Yeah,
saw.
and no news service, has yet said, what that insignia is, and there's
Right.
some
Yeah,
Hebrew
I heard.
lettering,
I heard. Yeah, it seemed kind of weird. I couldn't figure it out what they were talking about.
something red, with Hebrew lettering on it, like I don't know what it is, because I can read Hebrew, but I don't understand very much of it. And so they used that as an excuse, and they walked out. And then the commanders, started, begging them to come back. And they probably have to make a deal, not to send them to Gaza because they know, what that's all about. So, it's interesting, that's what can stop it,
And
from
whether it was
inside the military.
it was a protest by soldiers.
Yeah, yeah. 200
And
of
those
them.
are kind
Yeah.
of rare. Those are rare.
Yeah. 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 So I'm really anxious to get over there, to see what's going on and find out, what the possibilities are, because something has to break, there's going to be a big change because, such a regime could not continue to do what it's doing. It's not going to get away with it. What do they think? They can occupy Gaza, occupy Lebanon, occupy Syria, and attack Iran all at the same time? Well, no way.
Apparently, they do think that.
They think, somebody thinks that.
Well, apparently, they
MBB.
do. They stepped back from Iran a little bit. They stepped
Yeah.
back a little. They can focus on South Lebanon. I think the U.S. said it's okay. We, you know,
Yeah.
we got this right now. Y'all can take care of South Lebanon and the West Bank, and
Yeah.
kill some more Palestinians.
Hey, I hear there's an American destroyer commander who says that you can't hang out in the Eastern Mediterranean anymore, to defend Israel because they shoot anti-air defense missiles from the destroyer to stop any missiles coming from Iran to Israel. So this destroyer commander says no, they're running low and they only have enough weapons left, to go and defend the coast of the United States of America, and they're leaving for the United
Well,
States.
well, there is a major issue in the United States that isn't a fake issue, and it kind of, if you think about this issue, it shows you the role of the capitalist the arms dealers, that
Yeah.
they are on American soil. They're a quote American company, but they're ripping off. They're charging so much for what they produce, what they
Yeah.
create. It's
Yeah.
like one bomb, one missile costs $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
A
no. Ain't
Patriot
no
missile.
missile.
A Patriot
Ain't
missile
no
costs about
missile.
that.
Ain't no missile costs $1 million.
A
Okay, the
Patriot missile
component.
does.
No, but I'm saying, but no, it really doesn't. The components of that missile
Yeah.
there's no $1 million components. No, no, it isn't. No, it's not. And it makes me, at least this is my view, it shows me that these arms manufacturers are making the government pay whatever they
Oh,
say
yeah.
they.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
of
what the
course.
United States should do, I'm not saying they should just nationalize the arms industry. If I were President Trump, that's what fuck I would do. And that'd be the
Yeah.
end of that. No, no,
Yeah.
that'd be the end of that. And then the Army would organize production. The Army and Marines would organize production. But hey, you have all the missiles you want. This is the
Yeah.
problem with it. No, seriously, this is the problem for the United
Yeah.
States. And they're, I mean, I had no sympathy for them, but to solve that problem, you have to nationalize it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and they're not going to nationalize Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and
Yeah.
Northrop Grumman, but that's why they don't have any missiles. They cost too much. Now look at
Notice
Iran.
that, notice the
Iran
names
has
of those
little
companies.
missiles. Iran
Notice
has
the name.
missiles that they're making. They ain't trying to
Yeah.
make. They're not. The missiles are just as good as the ATACMS and the THAAD and the HIMARS. Just as good, just as accurate. Are they paying on hell? No, no, no. They're paying maybe $10,000 a missile. Well, whatever. I'm just
Yeah. Yeah.
saying. I mean, I'm just saying. That shows you who's in charge, and that's
That's
why
it.
they don't have. That's why they don't have any missiles. They
Yeah.
can't. They can't buy them. They make them at a snail's pace. And I'm telling you, if you want a war, dude, you gotta get everything you need right away. And you may tell what you can't make. Okay, well, hold on, sir. I'm in charge now. Get out of here. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that not to be pro-capitalist. But if you want to fight a war, you can't. The people making the missiles can't tell you when they're going. What? Wait a minute. Who's in charge here? Me or you? Obviously, you. I wouldn't. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. They put the army in charge of that shit. Put them.
Yeah.
I mean, put the army in charge of production, and you making them when we need them. Because the United States is in trouble. If that's how it's going to work,
Yeah.
then
Well, they're
they'll
trying to do
never
it,
have enough. It won't work.
by except that it's asked for an additional 55 billion from Congress on top of the 1.5 trillion. in order to gear up the production of the missiles, and they're building new factories, putting them on triple shifts, night shifts as well, and they're getting all the money that they want, to do it. And it's in the private sector. And the names of those companies,
Right.
if you notice, are all, the Anglo-Saxon establishment.
Oh yeah,
That's the
yeah.
power center of the
Boy,
United States.
I mean, electronics, you got Amazon's in that too. Amazon's involved. They're all involved in this. So that's why when they hit those factories in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, hey, you know, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
that was a bit of Persian there from Press TV. That
That's
starts
fine.
automatically on my computer.
No,
Okay.
I'm saying so that's everybody that's what's going on.
Yeah.
These capitalists want big dollars. And it's amazing the amount of profit they're making off of their government's need for the arms.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's something. I mean, I'm not pro USA, pro capitalist, pro imperialist, but there's something wrong. If I'm
Yeah.
giving so much money to a company to make stuff for me and I gotta have it, no, I'm gonna change that.
Yeah.
No, no,
All that
I
money
mean,
to make stuff that you blow up anyway, like it's
yeah,
irrational. Yeah.
yeah, it's irrational. Thank you. Totally
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so this is the 1st of August, 2026, and this is the Here and Now broadcast for this week
Yeah,
with our critical analysis.
yeah.
And we are going to set up a special broadcast talking about what it's like to live under racist assault. We're going to do a recording, and I can think of many incidents in my own life in which I can tell you the story of.
Oh man,
And Steve, I'm sure, has many more.
oh, I got
And
tons.
we'll record that for you later, during the course of this week. And you're going to
All right,
get, our special broadcast as a result. Okay. Thank you all for listening now. Please share and build. Yeah. Yeah. So think, analyze, and act. Yeah. That's what it is. Okay.
thank you.